This is part 2 of the story of Last Horizon. I've decided that it's better to split the series into 3 videos because a lot happens in the final 4 notes. Once again, in order to make this video as short as possible, I'm going to focus solely on the actual notes and save the speculation for later. Let's just get right into it. The 4th objective takes you on quite the journey, but it leads to Rudiger's Diary 2 and the Foreman's Technical Report 3. Rudiger's Diary 2 reads as follows.
This island was meant to give up its secrets to me. Knowledge wired into its very bones, the deep places under the earth. A new geology. It promised much. A crack in the window to the future. I knew we could not accomplish our goals and be certain of success or safety in doing so, even if I could never have predicted this result. How powerful and destructive the amplification would be. The cascading, corrupting energy from the machine. But I chose to move forward. In the coming decades, these equivocations, these doubts, will be meaningless. I still believe EW was right. He was already so close, and 100 years ago. But even with my more complex machine, I cannot prove it, yet. The cost has been high, and now I suspect it is time for me to pay as well. Even now my enemies laugh, as their agent tracks my movements, this stalker in the hills, and I am only getting weaker. There is a terrible shadow across my mind, gnawing on its edges. I cannot focus my thoughts. My dreams are strange, a deep, wide ocean, unending.
In the previous diary page, Rudiger started talking a bit more about the Earth and the island itself, which diverges greatly from everything related to the machine and its effects. Rudiger was after the physical island itself and its secrets it held, literally, a new geology. Once again, the asterisks emphasize the importance of the word new. The cracks in the window he is referring to may be the fault lines, which have shaped the island for many millennia and will continue to do so in the future. Moving on, he explicitly admits that safety was something the experiment needed to ignore. Even that wouldn't guarantee success. He never predicted the results of the experiment, which shows that he never intended for the machine to have the effect it did. Despite the machine's effects, he chose to keep the experiment running. Then he mentions an EW, which are the initials of a scientist. I will explore this EW further in a future video. Despite this machine being so complex, he cannot yet prove whatever EW is trying to prove. He mentions his enemies, which I believe is the entity or group mentioned in the notes from the first video. The stalker, the agent of his enemies, is fast approaching and Rudiger's mind is crumbling. He too was affected by the machine, just not as much as the others. The terrible sensation in the head that something dark is lingering and a deep, wide ocean proves that Rudiger's mind is falling apart. The Foreman's Technical Report 3, which is right next to Rudiger's Diary 2, reads as follows.
Track the slippery creep up here, but he's moving fast. Stronger than he looks, and just as I'm starting to fade. I knew this might be a one-way trip, but I like my odds for something better. One last mission to fill the ledger before moving on to better days. Debts paid, the director off my back for good. Some bright idea, huh? I miss my brother. He would have loved this op. I can't really see his face anymore. Feel bad for the guys that didn't get out. Goddamn mine. Part of the gig to keep them in the dark, but this one hurt. Well then. It's almost kind of nice when the sun's up and the wind stops howling. Onward. Gotta fix this. Finish it.
The foreman of the Langston mine and the Rudiger project was a paid actor the whole time. He was the mole that Rudiger suspected and the stalker that has been chasing him across the far territory. Despite not being as affected as the rest in the mine, he too is fading away from the effects of the machine. Despite the risk of the experiment, he took the job because of the reward. This mission was supposed to be his last, clearing his debts and allowing him to move on. This director he mentions is a part of the entity he mentioned in his previous technical report. The entity that he works for, who makes up Rudiger's enemies, is led by this director. His brother works for the same entity, but even his face is fading from the foreman's mind. He is nearing the end of his rope, just like Rudiger. He shows some remorse for what happened in the mine. He had the knowledge and power to get the miners out before they perish from the machine's effects, but he was on a mission and they were just collateral. He then continues, searching for Rudiger's last stop. Just like last time, I highly recommend you fully understand the story of the tales so far. This video shows us that we've been misled about what Rudiger's after and what he intended to do with his machine. This story is twisting into a new direction, evolving our understanding of this experiment. Either finish Signal Void and Buried Echoes or watch my video called The Rudiger Project Timeline. It is linked in the top right of the screen. In part 3, I will read through the final 2 notes. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to comment, like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so I can keep making them.